Salutations everyone, and welcome to another Overwatch video where today we're talking about Mercy again. And are the days of the Mercy meta numbered? Well, I mean, Reaper there just sneaking in the back really made that life numbered. But we know that there is a nerf finally coming to Mercy. After the rework, the res meta took over. It became a must pick at every single level of gameplay, exactly like I said it would, from bronze and quick play all the way to the Overwatch World Cup. Mercy is a must pick. Her value is just too much. You could heal like perfectly. You could have a perfect timing on all of your heals with Lucio or Ana or Zenyatta, and you'll never be able to make the impact that Mercy can, simply because it doesn't matter how much health you lose, you might not be able to heal all of it quick enough, but if you die, boom, all your health instantly restored, and you're just right back into the fight. And it was instant, it was, frame one when it came out. And now that there is a nerf coming to Mercy, probably when Moira comes out, that we're gonna get this Mercy nerf, and some other changes that we know of as well, where it's gonna take her a little bit of time, and she's gonna be slowed down during the rezzing animation. It's no longer gonna be an instant thing. So the way that Mercy's res works right now, that makes her so much of a must pick, so much of an overpowered character. And yes, she is the first thing in Overwatch that I think we can safely say, in the game proper. Yes, there were some broken things in the alpha and the beta, but that wasn't the real game. In the game proper, there were some things that were too strong, there were some things that were too weak, some things that needed to be fixed, some needed to be tweaked, some things that were hitchy and wonky and kind of glitchy, but nothing was truly overpowered until this Mercy rework. Because she can heal more than any other character, and she can res at least every 30 seconds. She's really hard to hit. She has a healing factor that would make Wolverine jealous. It's just really hard to die when you're Mercy. Yes, you don't have like blink or recall, and you can't leap. You don't have a shield or a bubble, but you can fly at the speed of light, and during your ultimate, you are the most unkillable thing in the game. Yes, if you get discorded and caught in a graviton and diva nuked, you're gonna die, obviously. Soldier nano sights down. But she's definitely not as easy to pick off as the other supports out there. The fact that you have Guardian Angel on just a couple second cooldown, and how fast that she is, and the fact that her healing factor will bring her back up to full HP in just a matter of microseconds, makes her quite the tank. Quite the tank, more so than other characters that have more offensive and capabilities that would deter foes from coming after them than Mercy. But the reason being that her res makes so much of an impact, so much more so than before, where yeah, she could get quad reses, or 5-man reses, but that was only if 4 or 5 people would die at a time, and the Mercy wasn't one of those people. Now we know she's going to get way more reses. You should be, unless your team is doing really well and not dying, and you're just doing fairly well, and you don't, especially if you don't have any need to use your ultimate, you're going to be, if you're not steamrolling in that fashion, you're probably going to be getting at least a res every single minute, because not every 30 seconds there won't be a dead teammate, and sometimes you'll be dead. So it kind of evens out to about a res a second, unless you're just playing insanely well and your teammates are not dying and you're doing a really good job healing, or if you have 2 healers. Oh man, boy, is that rare when I'm playing Mercy. Mercy was such a high impact, such an important must-pick character. Last season, my Mercy time surpassed all other Mercy time combined prior to that season. That's how important she was, that I had to go to Mercy in certain instances where, and especially in matchmaking, Mercy is even more of a must-pick. Yes, you can win without Mercy and against a Mercy, obviously, if you just completely outplay the enemy team and you know you can hunt down the Mercy and take care of business, and you know dive the enemy team or use your ultimates fairly well in conjunction with one another. You can beat a Mercy without having one yourself, but there's no reason to put yourself in that situation because of the value that she has, and especially matchmaking where nobody wants to be healer or tank, where you have triple and quad DPS insta-locks in every single game, from bronze all the way to, you know, at least diamond. Mercy becomes more of a must pick because she can erase mistakes. Your Genji goes in all by himself, goes for the 1v6, doesn't matter. You fly in, you res, then you fly out, and hopefully he dashes away. Your Reinhardt charges in and nobody follows him up. Your Zarya doesn't bubble him and he gets instantly killed or slept or something. Doesn't matter. Mistake erased. Mercy has the whiteout with her res, and that mistake is gone. It's instant. She flies very fast. She can fly right out, especially if, you know, if she's resing a tank, and you obviously have to prioritize who you are resing, who can get value out of that res. You know, I would much rather res a Roadhog than, say, another support in very crucial instances, because I know if Roadhog gets rezzed and he gets shot a bunch, he's still going to live because he just takes a breather and he's back to full health. Whereas, you know, if a Zen or a Torbjorn gets rezzed in the middle of nowhere, they can just get re-killed really, really quickly. So you obviously have to prioritize your targets, and it does take some skill to be Mercy. But the fact that she is such a must pick is definitely a problem with the game. And hopefully with these nerfs coming to her, she will not be a must pick, or at the very least not a must pick in as many situations. There's still going to be many instances where if you're, say, defending on, let's say, Route 66, which is like a really long road to, you know, coming back from your spawn, you're going to need a Mercy to, you know, keep that defense on, to keep the Bastion alive, or keep your Reinhardt alive, or to keep that Pharah, who's really giving them trouble, alive, you know, that you're pocketing fairly well, and you want to keep that pocket going, and that can stall enough for your other teammates to come back, or get their ultimates, or something like that. So, there are definitely still going to be instances, even after the nerf, where you're still going to want a Mercy, but hopefully not to the extent now where, yes, she is a must pick. And I know we've had must picks before. In the early game, Reinhardt, definite must pick on pretty much every map, against every comp, everywhere. Everyone was still kind of learning the game, but you knew the value of Reinhardt. It wasn't that difficult to play and get value of, and you can shoot through his shield, and everyone was Deathball versus Deathball. And then it's like Lucio. Lucio was a must pick, and then they reworked him to be, you know, not as good with some things, but, you know, better with other things. And he was still kind of a must pick, but you still had to have a little bit more skill in order to get maximum value out of him. The skill ceiling was kind of a bit higher as well, so it was a little bit more fun, and he did more damage with his gun, so he could have a little bit of a more offensive impact. And now, you know, it's, you know, Mercy Zen seems to be the thing in most maps at high levels of play, where you need to have those healers, or you need to have Mercy, or you need to have Winston D.Va. You know, those need to be your tanks. And a lot of times it seems like you need, you know, Genji Tracer or something to that effect. You know, there's a couple of, you know, if it's this instance, you need these two tanks, so you need these two DPS, you need these two healers. Must picks aren't going away in the fashion that most people seem to see must picks as, quote unquote, but Mercy really is the epitome, the embodiment of a must pick, because if you don't have a Mercy and the enemy team does, you're going to be playing at a severe disadvantage almost no matter what the game mode is, especially on bigger maps, on payload maps, you know, non-King the Hill maps mostly, where maybe you'll be able to focus down the Mercy a little bit, or she won't be able to get into the fray as freely and escape as easily, because more people are going to be concentrated on the point at the lower levels of matchmaking. But her ability to just erase mistakes is insane, and the Valkyrie, the amount of reses that you can get, no other character can give you that sort of value, which, you know, some people are okay with. Obviously, if you were a Mercy player, you were excited about these changes because all of a sudden she's insanely strong, the strongest character in the game, absolute must pick, and never a bad decision in any map and any comp. So some people are excited about that, and some people are always just excited whenever the meta changes. You know, they don't really care what it is. Oh, everything's death ball, I'm tired of death ball. Ooh, something new, I love it, no matter what it is. Oh, it's dive, I hate dive, I'm tired of dive. Oh, something new, don't care what it is. Oh, it's triple tank, I don't like triple tank, ooh, something new. And now that is dive, ooh, I hope triple tank comes back, because then it won't be dive anymore. You know, there's always going to be those people that they just want the meta to shift just because they find things that are stale, or, you know, whatever reason that might be. You can kind of understand that, but hopefully the Overwatch metagame can get to a point where there's like 3 or 4 viable strategies that kind of rock, paper, scissors another that's like, oh, you know, you can play death ball and then you can dive the death ball, but you could also, you know, CC the dive by using a Doomfist, who hopefully will get a buff. I know that they're looking into it. And Junkrat, you know, is able to really throw a wrench into some of those dives. But then you can triple tank that, and then you can triple DPS that, but then you can death ball that, and then dive that, and, you know, so on and so forth. So hopefully we can get to a point where everyone's not just, you know, let's just ditto everything, because that's what the meta has always been. But as it stands right now, Mercy kind of makes things the most stale, and not just because everybody has a Mercy, but because of the fact that Res has such a short cooldown. I know 30 seconds is the longest cooldown of any ability in the game, but for the value of Res, especially compared to, you know, the only way you could Res before, which was her ultimate, Res is a very short cooldown, and the value that you can get out of that makes so many team fights just last forever and ever and ever. You get a pick, and they res it. Then they get a pick, and you res it. And then you get Valkyrie, and then they get Valkyrie, and it just lasts forever and ever and ever until someone can kill the Mercy, or, you know, get a double kill, or get an, you know, an ult wipe or something like that. So just the way that Mercy has worked, I've had to pick her up. I've had to use her in many instances because she's the most value that you can get out of a healer, but especially if you're running a single healer, which most matchmaking games tend to be, because everyone's using triple and quad DPS, because everyone thinks, oh, my Reaper's godly, my Junkrat's godly, my McCree's godly, and then they end up getting 4 kills and dying 19 times. That's just the way it is. We've all played matchmaking before. We know how people do. They just want to play their character, and they don't care what the results are. So because of that, Mercy is even more important, because not only can she heal insanely well by herself, she can kind of sustain herself. She has a healing factor, so I don't have to worry about being a Zen and not being able to heal myself, or being Ana and having grenade off of cooldown. Mercy's always healing herself because she's insane, and I can get reses, so I can kind of pick up the slack for that lack of a second healer. So in the matchmaking way of things, we've all noticed that Mercy is even more of a must pick than at higher levels of competitive play, or even in the competitive Overwatch scene, because of the impact that she can have. And the people don't tend to focus fire very well, even against Mercy when she's all alone. So maybe if you're, you know, a Winston or a Diva player, you kind of have to take it upon yourself to take out the Mercy, or be a Reaper, get behind them, and then wipe out that Mercy, and then start going to work. But her impact has been no doubtedly insane and a must pick, and she is overpowered with the kit that she has. Now that she no longer can kind of get these reses for free in this upcoming patch, we might see some changes to this, where she's not going to be able to erase every single mistake, and there might be some healers in certain instances that can outdo that res value if it's not being played properly, which of course we're going to see that in all levels of matchmaking at one time or another. So yeah, anyways, that's the game. 17k healing, doing a little bit of resin, and getting a victory, as Mercy does.